Hey, algebra students, so excited to do this one with you because this is one of those problems that it just blows students' minds because you guys look at it, you go, it is so hard. I cannot do this. Look at this. There's letters, there's pictures, there's a word problem. It's so hard. What am I going to do? And it is so much easier than it looks. This is one of those times you're just going to want to hug the person who invented algebra because they just made your life easy. Let's look. It says the equation 73 equals 2s plus 15 can be used to find s. And I say, well, yeah, duh, it can be used to find s. That's an equation. It has one letter in there, s. So if I were to solve for s, I would be finding s. But then it tells us what s is. It says it can be used to find s, the length of each equivalent side of the isosceles triangle. So if I find out what number s is, I've just found out how long this side is or that side is. You don't really have to understand what isosceles means in order to understand this problem, but all I'm saying by that is that there's two sides that are the same length. In this case, they're both some mystery number s long. With a perimeter of 73 centimeters and a remaining side length of 15 centimeters. And so a lot of you guys are just freaking out like, there's so much language in here I don't know. There's isosceles, there's perimeter, there's all this algebra I haven't learned, geometry I haven't learned. But then look what it says. It says solve the equation to find the length of each missing side. Guys, you didn't really have to understand much of this at all. You just have to be able to take this equation, 73 equals 2s plus 15, and solve it. Get the letter alone so you can know what it's equal to. And boom, you just did geometry without knowing anything about geometry. All right, so let's be really neat as we do this because a lot of us struggle at first when introduced with equations. And just go ahead, draw yourself a line. This is just one of the methods I like to use so that students can see the difference between the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the equation. And that will help you to avoid a common error of moving the wrong numbers. Because I can see there's s over here on the right-hand side. If I want to get s alone, there's a couple numbers I have to get rid of, 2 and 15. And of course, whenever I have more than one thing to do, order matters. So let's do the wise thing. And when we're solving, we're getting rid of math. Let's work the order of operations backwards. So I want to get rid of that plus 15. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract 15. And again, I did that first because that 15 is adding with s. Now I can do whatever I want as long as I jump across the equal sign, make it all the way across that line, across that equal sign to balance your equation. A lot of students will try to write it here. And I'm like, that's not balanced. Now you just did the same thing twice on the same side. And now you're really off balance. All right. But since now when I get all the way across the equal sign, I've done the same thing, subtracted the same number, 15, on both sides. Now I'll have an equivalent equation. The next equation will mean the same as the first. So 73 minus 15, and I'm going to do it in my calculator because even math teachers can make a dumb computation errors when they're really focused on something else. So if I can do it, you can do it. So I just did it on the last video, in fact. But 73 minus 15 gives me 58. Now, how about the right-hand side? Well, adding 15 and subtracting 15 really are opposites, so they really will cancel. And I'll be left with 2s. Okay. Now, this is not yet solved because I don't yet know what s is equal to because it's not yet alone. This s has a 2 shoved up next to it, which means it's multiplying by 2. So I'll do the opposite. I'll divide by 2. And I can do whatever I want as long as I do it to both sides. Hey, you beginning students, don't forget to write the fraction bar again. See, a lot of you guys just write 2 and then you have no idea what to do with the 2. It's like you're hiding the work from yourself, okay? Don't shoot yourself in the foot by being a bad secretary, okay? Multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2 are opposites. They'll cancel. S is alone. And you say, well, what do I do on the left-hand side? Well, remember, when you get lost in algebra, you just look up. There's what you said you would do. That's why we didn't want to forget the divide sign. So let's do it. 58 divided by 2. Again, I'm using my calculator. Is 29. You say, would I get a calculator on this kind of problem? Yep, you sure would. You get a calculator when there's geometry, word problems, or algebra. And this has all three. So now I get 29 is equal to S. Now this is the solution to the equation. And if I was just straight up solving the equation, I would call this the answer. But since this is a word problem and they told us what S is about, okay, they told us that S is the length of the side, and we've been asked to find the length of each side in centimeters. I'm just going to go ahead and say my final answer is 29 centimeters. So how long is this side? 29 centimeters. And it's an isosceles, so this side's the same length, 29 centimeters. Nice. All right, you guys, beautiful, beautiful. Got a question about this? Go ahead, post it to our Facebook group, and happy learning.